Over 6 months of war has brought Sudan to its knees. Many thousands have been killed and nearly 6 million people displaced. Several attempts of peace talks have failed while the army and the powerful paramilitary group continue a brutal fight for control of the East African country. Throughout the conflict, Achut Deng, author of Don't Look Back, a memoir of war, survival, and the journey from Sudan to America, has been talking to family and friends in Sudan, and she joins us now. Achut Deng, welcome to Feminism today.
Thank you so much for having me.
What do we need to know?
What do we need to know? For me, peace cannot go wrong. The world need peace. Sudan need peace. And seeing all these pictures and what is going on with women, children, and even men that have nothing to do with the power, it breaks my heart because I've been there. I'm one of them. I grew up in the middle of the war. So to me, I feel like the world need to address this issue and bring peace to those who can't speak for themselves.
Many thousands of people have died, as we've mentioned in the introduction, but it's hard to grasp just the true scale of it. The UN says it's the worst displacement crisis in the world. There are about 6 million people displaced and in and outside Sudan, and the numbers are rising every day, particularly in Darfur. What are you hearing from people living in Sudan?
It's fear. Nobody know when this is going to end. What do we do? And that's it. That's a repeat every day. It's fear. We don't know what to do. We don't know what's going on. They do know what's going on. They are dying. But what's the cost? It's the same thing as you know the the attack back in 1991. I didn't know what was going on, but I was in the middle of fear, not knowing when my next place is going to be. So that's what I'm hearing right now. Whether is, and I don't have anything else to say as far as the government go, but the biggest fear is that nobody know where to go.
The region to the west, where there was a genocide 20 years ago against African ethnic group by the Arab militia group called Janjaweed. What can you tell us about these groups and how they operate? You lived through it. What's it like?
As far as the group, I don't know what was the mindset of this group in particular, but for me, like what I've been through in South Sudan itself, the what take my family out, my grandmother out, it was the tribe. And this tribe, this thing came from the government. It was just, oh, this person is from this tribe and they have the higher power. What about us as this tribe? And so to me, it was coming from the power, the politicians. And I believe that's probably what was going on with this group that you were talking in particular, because that's what happened in South Sudan back then. It was a tribe and tribe.
For a moment, it seemed like there was peace. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what this conflict is really about?
I can't really read people mind, but what I can always go back is growing up. What did I thought the South Sudan, the war was between South Sudan and North, and Sudan. At the time, it was North Sudan, and so to me back then it was, oh, it's more of a religion kind of thing. But now South Sudan itself is separated from that, but people are still dying, and that's what's going on now. Sudan itself is independent, but then within the Darfur, people are dying, and even the people that are not, from Darfur are dying too. What is it? This is one country. So I can always go back to, there has to be someone in the politic that wants to control it. And now, okay, well, if this is not how it's going to be, let's take it to the tribe and just send out a wrong message. and then the vulnerable, the weak one, the young, those who can't protect themselves end up being the victim.
Does the international community get right or wrong about the conflict in Sudan? What are we not understanding about what's taking place?
You know, for me, for those, for the journalists, someone like yourself, bringing in the awareness and talking about the issue, this is a great way to go. But the thing is, it come back to those who are in that country. Can we talk about it? Is the government allow us to speak up? Do we have human right? That's what, that's where it come back to, because the people, whether they are in the village or in the city, they know they're right, but they can't talk about it. I feel like the world doesn't understand that part. You know, you will have, me personally, the way I see it, you will have some people from here that work at the with the UN, wants to go to Sudan or go to South Sudan or any other place that have the war. The people that they are going to talk to are those who are controlling the issue, but no one is really going and talk to those who need help, to those who doesn't understand the reason of a fight. It's like you go to sleep happy as a child and you wake up in the middle of the night in a fear, and you don't know, you don't understand, but somebody else is controlling that. So for me, the world just need to understand, if you are going to talk to politicians, they are going to tell you what's going on in their parliament, but not what's going on in the village.
I'm just curious, is there fair representation? Is there representative politics in all throughout Sudan? What's happening in what's the political climate look like?
I have not been one of them, and would I want to be involved in politics? I would say probably just so that I can speak up for myself and what and my experience as a child and coming today and being, I can't say that I'm a victim, because I am not a victim. I lived through the war. So how is that like, and how it go? Again, it's like it's very close, and I can only, if I have to say something, it will be just the place that I came from. The South Sudan today. It's like that government is built for just one, but it's not expand out to where everybody, you go in and put in an application today, and you don't have anybody that is related to you in that government, you're not going to get that job. So it is structured in a very it's structured different from the rest of the other world.
Tell us a little bit about the ethnic diversity and the religious diversity. I'm trying to get a better sense of what is the nature of the conflict. Why are people fighting? If it's ethnic group or tribal group, which tribes? How many tribes are there? Which tribe tends to dominate the political space? If it's language and religion, what are the dominant religions in this space?
Again, like I said prior, before, when I was young, the one thing that was put in my head and everybody else around was that, oh, the fight here is the religion. There are more Muslim, and the Muslim wants to control Christian. That was the thing back then. But later on, it's like, okay, the fight have not stopped. And even now, as South Sudan is a young nation, there's still that fight going on. So, and the fight that is going on is the tribe. This tribe is bigger than this tribe. Oh, this tribe, here is the president uh, that is controlling everything, whether it's money, people, or what, but it's from this tribe. Let's go against them. To me, when I look back and people are talking about racism, this is South Sudan. This is Sudan, the same color of skin, but there's a bigger issue there of this village is bigger than us, we need to control them. This tribe is smaller than us, so let's destroy them. To me, is that racism or not? So I, for me, try to understand why people are fighting. It come back to what tribe wants to control the power.
I'm reading reports as well that women routinely suffer sexual violence. And you talked a little bit about that earlier. It's so difficult to be a woman right now in Sudan, in many places in the world, really. There are like women being taken advantage of, raped, harassed in front of their families. It's very dangerous for women right now. And the situation is only getting worse. What can you tell us about the level of violence against women?
If I would have to say anything, with the violent against women, it's a war. So you will see some other people taking their own, it's an open land right now. So either way to kill people, is it by killing these people by gun or killing them mentally? I'm coming from a place women really don't have a voice. They have a voice in terms of you are going to get married and give birth to children and raise them. But as far as being open to the world, being getting involved in the government, a while ago, I was told, or I heard that, oh, women in South Sudan have 25% to rule or to run for anything, or to even say anything. And it become a thing in most of the meeting that I go to. It was like, oh yeah, we are selecting 5 guys for this position, but only one woman, only one female can be in there just for the 25%. It's like, okay, am I not a human? Don't I have okay, it make me question myself. It's like, okay, what is the position of women here? Can they think? Are you telling me that women can't come up with any ideas? Which to me, I could come up with a lot of ideas to bring peace, to move forward, to be better human being.
The UN Refugee Agency has pointed to reports that more than 800 people have been killed by armed groups in Ardamata in West Darfur, an area that so far has been less affected by the conflict. What does that mean to you? What does that tell you?
To me, I'm not looking at these groups like they are they are heartless because somebody else is controlling them. Um, and I saw that happening where someone will come and spread a wrong message to the people. And again, it go back to being, to raising the awareness of education and the importance of that, because those who attacked the village back in 1991, right? These were young, most of them were teenagers. They didn't know, the difference between right and wrong. You know, they celebrate what somebody told them to do. And again, we don't know whether these groups, somebody else is threatening them. So of course they will have to do whatever it takes because it's a group. It's like gang. So if someone is telling you to do this at that young age, you are going to do it. And again, this is a place where network is not a thing unless if journalists go over there and talk about it and see it. Then these groups are, we don't know. Somebody have to be behind them to threat them. You go do it, and if you don't do it, here are the consequences. That's how I'm looking at it.
Let's talk a little bit about the deteriorating health conditions of the people in the refugee camps and the people, the deteriorating of health of people during this period. What can you tell us about the quality of life in the refugee camps as you had experienced it 20 years ago?
The quality of life, and this is why I when I did the interview, and the question was, why do you want to go to America? And I was very, very honest with that. I didn't care if this man doesn't give me a chance of what I'm giving him or my answers. That's okay. The quality of life in the refugee camp is a hope. It's hope to wake up in the morning because there are no clean water. There is not enough food. You don't medication. I can't even talk about that. We don't have, doctors or medication that will take even just the cold, flu, let alone at this day and age or today, COVID. So back then, the way I know the refugee, there is no life there. Yes, there is hope. So if there is a refugee camp in Darfur somewhere, okay, someone is thinking that you are controlling this, but do you know what you did in this? And I can say this to the UN. You are bringing all this different tribe in one place. They are going to kill themselves, because they are there, and everybody, and it's a tribe and a tribe. Water are not clean. Food. It's just a lot of it's 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 a struggle. So life in the refugee camp is nothing but hope for tomorrow.
Where are we likely to see, in your estimation, some sort of peaceful resolution and peace talks? Is there any sign of progress in between U.S. African nations, or are you seeing it more likely that the Saudi-backed peace talks would have a little bit more weight in terms of shifting the situation in Sudan?
Every now and then I watch the news. But as it's always come down to, okay, let's go ahead and talk, make an agreement. And when that agreement doesn't go through on, or one side does not like the agreement, then okay, we go back to the war. It's attention, it's but to me the world need to see something different. I know we need job, and so if the whole world is in peace right now, where what's going to happen to these people that have job in trying to make the peace here, or the ceasefire? Okay, let's cool this down. But at the same time, is job work more than human life? No. And again, I'm going to touch back up on the group. This thing is going to be hard to stop, because the people that are in Sudan and South Sudan, the children that we are having today and growing up in that environment, nobody's breaking that. So they are growing up seeing this, and what the older people doing, or the older generation, it repeat itself, because there is no awareness. No one is talking about mental issue, none of that. So it just repeat itself every year.
I want to talk for a few more minutes about your book. After surviving the civil war, malaria in Sudan, only you found yourself with a new life in the United States. But during the pandemic, it was an interesting experience for you because the region that you're in is one of the largest coronavirus outbreaks in the United States. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
That experience was tough. And again, I say this everywhere I go. When I had COVID, because that's how my life story begin to get out there, or wanted to put it in writing for my children, or wanted to be open with my kids. It was hard for me, and it made me question myself, my immune system, because in the beginning, when we were having meetings at work, of what this is going to come, or what is coming ahead of us, to me it was not a big deal, because I had malaria, guinea worms. I survived so much. So with this one over here that is coming, it'll be okay. I'll be okay. Until I got sick, and it was very, very, it was tough. The entire week was tough, but then it lasted me almost 6 months for me to gain my energy back, and to feel right, and to and have that interest. So it was very, very hard, because my mentality went back to the refugee camp and everything that I have been through. So I'm like, okay, this is just another thing that people are talking about. So it was hard seeing other people going through it, and even seeing myself going through that. It was hard.
Your book, Don't Look Back, tells a powerful story showing both the ugliness and the beauty of humanity. This very interesting journey that you've been on from Sudan to South Dakota, and and here with us today. But also, what is woven through this is this idea of never giving up. Do not give up. You have said elsewhere, "I'm tired of running from my past. I can only protect myself, my kids from the world." What did you leave behind in Sudan, and why did you write this book?
I wrote this book, and this book is not just a book. This is everything that I lived through and what got me to this point. You know, my past is my past. Somebody else did that to me. Whether it's going back to those who are or were in power, somebody else did it to me, and I'm not a victim. So for me, I can't dwell on something that I have no control of. But what pushed me forward is my grandmother. The don't look back. So all these years, I'm thinking I've moved on from my past, but what I did was just to create a very busy schedule for me, especially after I had my oldest son. I'm like, okay, there I never wanted to have children. It was a need. I needed to have children for me because there was always a hole inside of me. And the only person that can feel that for me was my children, something that came from me, you know, and that comes with the help of Adwal and everything that she nurtured me in life. It go back to my grandmother, how she raised so many children as a widow. So it could go back to that. So for me, I put my past because I wanted to start healing. I wanted my children to know me. I wanted just to know me and understand their mom better, and today I have a really, really great relationship with my children. It is so amazing. I'm looking at life like, okay, boys, you guys can open the door, but outside of this door, you are not safe anymore. While I was never honest with my own. So I wanted to create that for parents, for teachers, and for everybody else, that it is okay to be honest with your kids. But first, wait until you're ready, because that's what I did. I wanted to wait.
Well, I must say the reviews have been really good, and it's really been a wonderful to sort of see how you have evolved as an author slash humanitarian slash activist, and you keep you keep sort of expanding on that. Can you tell us a little bit about your grandmother? You touched on it that she said to you at some point, "Don't look back." Tell us a little bit about her and how that settles on you.
My grandmother is a wonderful woman, and that connection. I just hope that everybody in the world, any human being in the world, will have that relationship and have that connection with your grandmother, because that woman saved me. She's a very strong-minded person. The night we had the rebel attack, I went to sleep happy with everyone who loves me and everybody I love back. But waking up in the middle, I woke up in fear. I was scared, terrified. And so, but she goes, Achut, don't look back, because I keep looking back. I keep looking back. All I hear was a lot of children and screaming women and even men and cows and dogs. So I keep looking back. But she said, Achut, don't look back. It will slow your steps. And I took that phrase my entire life. She saved me that night, but not only that night, you know? And so my grandmother was just she's short among the Dinka women, but she is the tallest. She's the tallest. Her heart loves everyone. Um, but again, will tell you if something is not right. Like when my name got changed to a Rachel, because pick a name in the Bible if you want to go to heaven at time of baptism. And she said, no, 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 no. I choose going to heaven have nothing to do with the name in the Bible. And I learned that after she passed, because everything else it's just was went wrong from there, whether it's in the refugee camp, those who had the name in the Bible, the thing they were doing, and then coming to America, and those who have name in the Bible were doing a lot of things to me. And and it made me question myself. My grandmother was right. She was right all along. I don't need a name in the Bible in order to go to heaven. I'm Christian, but I can be Christian and not and do everything wrong, because that's what I have seen. So it changed for me. That changed everything when people come to me and wants to talk about anything else or anything that have to do with religion. I always go back to my grandmother. This is what she said: do the right thing, love people, have respect. These are the things that will take you to heaven. And so I try my best in every moment to do just that. Do right.
Achut Deng, author of Don't Look Back, a memoir of war, survival, and my journey from Sudan to America. It's been such a pleasure, a real honor to speak with you.
Dr. Johnson, thank you so much. I could say the same thing.
And that's it for our program today. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram, get caught up on YouTube, or sign up for our newsletter at drsophiajohnson.com. Thank you so much for watching Feminism Today on Free Speech TV. Join us again next week.